Hey there everyone, it's Grymestone again from the League of Average Gamers, and today I'm starting a new series, and this is a look at games currently in alpha, and beta, so on and so forth. You know, all those games that are currently on the Steam Early Access. And the reason I'm starting this series is mainly to look at the features currently in them, the state of them, whether they're worth purchasing currently, or at the very least what to expect. So far in Rust, I'm just going to use Rust because people tend to know a lot about Rust, and this is a good way of starting off this whole thing. Good way to see if this series is even going to be worth doing later on. And so the feature list currently in Rust, the game is building survival based around you scavenging materials, crafting items, and building a lot like it's seen here. As you can see, it's a modular-based building, and you can place doorways, things like that, windows, of course. You know, your basic building things. You have to put pillars down, though, to support your walls. There's a foundation you have to put down. You need to make sure it's nice, even surface. It doesn't have to be perfectly even. As you can see, I've built on a hill here. But it should be fairly even. And here's the crafting system. You can kind of flip through it. If you hit tab and then crafting up on the top left, you'll see what's there, and everything. This ranges from cloth, guns, leather, Kevlar, rad suit, medical supplies. There's food. Food isn't part of crafting. You have to cook it through a fire. So you have your basic workbench. You have a fire or forge to smelt things, and it's pretty well polished so far. Considering the game is in alpha, it's not too buggy, and it's pretty well fleshed out, the current features. Now, there's a lot missing still, and there's a lot they could do with it, but currently the game isn't that bad. It doesn't crash all the time, and the lag on most of the servers isn't too bad, and there's enough to keep you going for around 8 to 12 hours. And that's found in the research system. Now, the research system is based around you find paper, you find research kits, and you find an item. Or you will find blueprints. The blueprints, you can just right-click and click Study immediately and learn them, and then you have access to it in your crafting system. Then there's the research kit style, where you basically go around, you find paper, you find research kits, and you pick up the item itself. So if I have explosives, I use the research kit on the explosives. It will consume the research kit, and I will now know how to build and craft these explosives. There are also random events, which come in the form of these supply drops that will fly by you, and they will drop crates of materials. This is the only way of getting explosives, and they'll provide building materials, explosives, C4, things like that. And you need explosives to craft C4. C4 is obviously used to break into players' bases. And that brings us to the key point, or the key feature of Rust currently, is the amount of players. Rust has sold like over 700,000 copies or something ridiculous. It's outselling DayZ, and there's a lot of players, and that's good because this game is really the meat of the game is based around player interactions. Aside from your 8 to 12 hours that you spend just having to go out and scavenge things, I mean, that's just, you have to find it, or you're killing players and you're building your base, so it takes time to find all of these things. And that'll get you pretty much your full research tree set out. Around 8 to 12 hours of playing this and looking things, hunting things down, getting started. That'll probably finish up the whole research tree, and you'll probably have a metal base, so on and so forth. So there's some time there to spend. I mean, it's a good amount of time. Not as long as some other things, but I mean, it's all right. Anyway, the real core of the game comes in the player interactions, and you definitely want to be playing this game in a group. Don't play alone. Play in a community, because either it will get really repetitive and boring, or you will constantly be murdered by all the bandits in the game, and that's another issue. There's a lot of bandits, and when you die, like DayZ, you lose everything you have. And if they break into your base, you lose everything in your base too. And you don't want to put wooden doors up, because wooden doors can be chopped down with axes and with pickaxes. So you got to be real careful about building your base. You want to put metal doors on it, and you want to put metal bars on all your windows so they can just jump into it. So the modular base building and the crafting system will get you through a lot, and it's a pretty well fleshed out game. As you can see, there are some weird exploits where you can sit on the wood and just smash an animal because it can't reach you and kill it. And It's a little funky, some of those things, but it's pretty handy considering you don't have a gun yet and you're facing a bear. So it's a nice exploit, even though it is an exploit. There are bugs. I mean, alpha is alpha. The pathing isn't great on some of these. The zombies will glitch around sometimes, and it can get repetitive. But there's also a great modding system in the game. And I say modding, it's probably just plugins, but it's great that they allow that, and a majority of the servers are modded. And the mods range from putting pants on your character, because you do start naked in this game. So most servers have pants now, which is nice. There is a group system. There's a door sharing system. And this really just depends on what server you play on. There's an economy system some mods have put in, where every time you kill something, you get money, which you can spend on resources. So that's nice. And it's good that they support that. And there are tons of servers and tons of players. So you'll never really be, if you're looking for PvP, go on a high population server. Mind you, it's going to be a bit more challenging, especially if it's not a fresh wipe. Mainly because you're going to be going against people in Kevlar and you're going to have a rock. So yeah, chances are they're going to kill you. Even if you have nothing, they kill you anyway. I've found that tends to be the most common thing. So when you build a base, it's best to build it all at once, just so somebody doesn't come and steal it. But so far, I would say this game is fairly well polished, and it's, for what it is, in alpha, compared to most early access and alpha games, this thing will last a long time. You won't find too many major bugs. Like, you won't find a game-breaking bug too often, especially because you can get your stuff back quickly. While, yes, it does take time if you want to build your base, the research carries over every time you die, so it doesn't matter if you die and you're like, oh man, I'm going to lose all my research. No, you don't have to repeat that 8 to 12 hours that it takes to go find all the blueprints, that's never goes away. And your base, once you have it set up and pretty well fortified, you're pretty much set, and you can go around and play interact. That said, since it can be done quickly, in terms of that whole process, and if you're joining with your friends who have already built up a good amount, it can get repetitive, especially after a wipe on your server, because servers will occasionally do wipes to entice more new players to come as a result of it getting repetitive late game, because it only goes so far. I should also mention that there are craft times, and while I like to play on servers with instant crafting, which is a feature of the modded servers, there are servers that don't have that, and so it will take a while for you to craft all these things. Craft times can reach like 30, 40, 50 minutes, depending on how much you're crafting. Like, if you're building a massive metal base or massive wooden base, it's going to take a long time for you to craft all that. All the pillars, all the foundations, all the walls, all the windows, all the doors. It takes a while, and you also have to wait for all the crafting to go through. So, and there's also sleepers, where basically when you log out, your character lays down and sleeps, and anybody at any moment can just break in your base and murder you. And that sucks, because then you can't carry stuff on your character and log out and say, hey, I'm safe, this is cool, when I come back, I don't need to worry about me respawning somewhere because having lost everything because somebody killed me. So here's a feature list of Rust currently. We have hostile NPCs and hunting, so there is a PvE aspect. There are servers that are totally PvE and have removed the PvP aspect, though that, I don't know, that depends on the person. Scavenging, there's crafting, which again takes you 8 to 12 hours, though if you have a group, that can go smaller, and if you're really good at the game or get really lucky, again, that can get even smaller. There's modular building, player groups, and there are random events, and of course you have all the features of the modded system. So, that in mind, I hope you enjoyed this video. I chose Rust just because I know everybody knows a lot about it, and so I decided what better way than to kind of start a series than to, do something people know about, so that way I can get feedback, basically what I should have added in this video that you know about, and so that way I can have a better guideline for future videos if this decides to continue, or so if we decide this is a good enough series. So I hope you enjoyed it. If not, remember to tell me either way, and remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.